to the Woodcote corner at Silverstone. It was here on July 28, 1982, that Barry Sheene's career looked certain to end. He appeared over the rise at 160 miles an hour to find another bike lying in the track. When the two collided, he was thrown 200 yards far into the distance, and the crash almost cost him his legs, even, quite possibly, his life. Yet, here he is, just 1 year later, looking ahead to another British Grand Prix. It's been a phenomenal comeback, one up to the human spirit. Few believed it possible when they read the morning headlines and realised just how sickening, horrific his injuries had been. But Sheene believed it right from the start. This is perhaps the most famous X-ray of all time, proof of the remarkable skill of the surgeon who saved the legs with 27 screws and plates. Proof of Sheene's determination was now to follow. It was at the BBC Sports Review of the Year programme last December, just 5 months after the crash, that he rode a bike in public for the first time. He was back racing in South Africa in March, and this weekend he's riding once more at Silverstone. To complete the story, which, were it not true, would be dubbed pure fantasy, you would need one of two things. Either Sheene winning the World Championship, or winning the race he's always wanted to win more than any other but never has, the British Grand Prix. But that, I'm afraid, is fantasy. The truth is, he's got no chance. He knows it, he says it, and he points the finger at this. It's a Suzuki production bike, which Sheene says is not in the same class as the equipment raced by the front-runners. But he can't persuade Suzuki to give him a 1983 works machine, and that, he says, means he'll be fighting for the minor places tomorrow.
Suzuki, Heron Suzuki, the company I race for, have been fantastic. You know, they've tried with the Japanese time and time again to get me a factory bike, but they've always said, no, there aren't any available. And yet here they've given one to an Italian guy, another one to a Swiss guy, and another one to a Dutch guy.
Could it be that they thought with your injuries that maybe you couldn't do justice this season to an 83 bike? What would you say to that?
I would say it sounds like a bloody good excuse to me.
How are you riding, in fact, in your own mind?
Oh, I'm riding okay if I get something that's competitive. As it stands at the moment, all I stand a chance is finishing 8th or 10th or 12th or whatever. And I'm not going to put my heart and soul into riding for those sort of positions because it's of no interest.
So, for the first time at Silverstone, British hopes go not with Sheene, but this man, Ron Haslam, who, in a sport of so many nicknames, is the one they call Rocket Ron. He doesn't have the charisma of Sheene, nor his gift for self-promotion, but he is a fine rider, and he has something Sheene is desperate for, a competitive bike. Haslam is Freddie Spencer's teammate at Honda, and now recovering form after a slump which followed his 2 third places at the start of the season. And he believes he can be the first Briton to win the race.
It's possible to win it because the race is a bit slower than the practice times, because at the moment Kenny's going super quick on practice times, and Freddie and a couple more, but when the race comes they all tend to slow down a little bit, so I should be okay.
But if the past is a guide to the future, tomorrow's drama, intrigue, spectacle will be courtesy not of Britain but America, and the two men who've won all the World Championship rounds between them this season, and from whom the champion will come. There's Freddie Spencer, age 21, born Shreveport, Louisiana, Team Honda, nickname Fast Freddie, World Championship leader with 5 wins, a devout Baptist, clean-living, God-fearing, and a brilliant talent. Against him, Kenny Roberts, age 31, born California, Team Yamaha, nickname King Kenny. 3 times world champion, now second with 4 wins. Not a devout Baptist, his language often not from the Bible, but a man to have beside you when the shooting starts. Freddie Spencer came to Europe in 1980 when he was 18 and showed what everyone knew to be true, that here was a talent that was a little bit special. Indeed, Roberts himself rates Spencer possibly the most naturally gifted rider he's ever seen. Spencer began this season with a machine to match his reputation, a new Honda, and left the rest far behind to take the first 3 races. This win in Italy came after a rare mistake by Roberts. He recovered to 4th place, then ran out of fuel. But gradually the Spencer lead, 25 points at one stage, has been chipped away. In fact, chopped away these last few weeks, and now it's only 5 points with 3 rounds to go. And the man chasing him, his boyhood hero, Kenny Roberts.
Well, you know, I always liked to watch Kenny race. I used to go to the Astrodome because I only lived 4 hours from there at my home in Shreveport, and used to watch him. And Kenny was always the one to watch. You know, he was really good at dirt tracking, and sure, I like to watch him. And you know, it's really weird is back then I was 11 years old, and then at that time he was 21. You know, and now I'm 21, he's 31. I'm racing against him. But it's a you know, the thing is, what makes me feel good is that, you know, Kenny is good, and he likes to race, and he's always, every Sunday, he's gonna be the guy to beat, and that's what really makes the racing good and satisfying for me.
His opposition could not be more formidable. Kenny Roberts. He emerged through the American dirt tracks, claimed to be the roughest, toughest motorcycle racing anywhere in the world. He became American national champion, and it was this grounding, this experience, that helped him blow away the rest when he came to Europe. He arrived in 1978 and immediately won the world title 3 times in a row. And while champions come and champions fade away, Roberts has either won the title or been a main contender for it every year. He is, by nature and record, a winner. More than anything, and this is vital to Freddie Spencer tomorrow, Roberts is a tactician without equal. In the 1979 epic with Barry Sheene, for instance, Roberts had told his friends hours before the race that it would be won at Woodcotes on the final bend. He'd worked out the line he would need to take through the corner to force the opposition wide and give them no chance of getting past him before the flag. That, in the end, is precisely what happened.
The last but one right-hander on the circuit, because they're coming up to Abbey, and is Barry Sheene going to be able to do anything about it? I doubt it. But Kenny Roberts goes into Abbey. It's that close, you can hardly divide them on the stopwatch. From Abbey up to Woodcote, underneath the bridge is going to be tremendously close as they go into the last corner of the race. This is it, at 130 miles an hour. The checkered flag is out. Kenny Roberts and Barry Sheene is gaining. And there is less than a machine's length in it, with a fantastic race, with Will Hartog finishing in 3rd place.
It's this ability to judge a race, to pace it, that's causing Freddie Spencer so much trouble as the season comes to a close. Like here, when Spencer roared away at the start of the German Grand Prix in Hockenheim and seemed a certain winner. But Roberts always knew different.
I do believe as they disappear from view, yes, on lap 8 out of 19, Kenny Roberts has caught and passed the previously unstoppable and uncatchable Freddie Spencer.
It's a familiar pattern. Spencer wants to lead from the start and stay there, but to Roberts that's a waste of concentration. He prefers to stalk his man and pick him off later in the race. This judgment, bordering on genius, makes him the hardest man to beat, especially at Silverstone.
Well, this year coming into Silverstone, after riding the bike in the first 3 or 4 GPs, I knew that Silverstone was going to be one of our racetracks because the bike is a little heavier than the competition, but it's very sturdy, and it's very good in fast corners, very stable. So if you give a rider like myself who likes fast corners, a bike who likes fast corners, naturally Silverstone's going to be the place that we excel, and here we are.
Now, this is your last season over here. You're going to retire. As your career over here comes to a close, are you perhaps a bit disappointed at the way that perhaps you've been represented as a sort of bogeyman since you came over from America? Maybe do you feel you haven't had the recognition that perhaps your performances have deserved?
Well, not really, because I'm not English. I'm not Italian. I'm just a racer who comes from America. Barry Sheene has had a lot, over my career, has had a lot of ink and a lot of recognition here in England, and he's had almost zero in America. So, you know, you can't really say that, well, you didn't get enough ink or you didn't do this. And I don't really care. I just do my job and the best way I know how, and I keep away from the excuses and all the things that I don't like about motorcycling. And the thing that I don't like about motorcycling is I couldn't win because I didn't have this, or I couldn't win because I didn't have this, or, you know, I just... okay, it's okay if you win all the time, but if you lose and you never lose is because you've got so many excuses. No one ever wins, no one ever loses, so there's no point.
No excuses needed for Roberts yesterday, not that he'd ever make any. He was by far the fastest in practice, 1.2 seconds ahead of Spencer, and unofficially bettered Barry Sheene's lap record. Spencer was second fastest on the Honda, and once again expect him to go to the front right from the start in tomorrow's race. Third fastest was Eddie Lawson, yet another American, number 27, Roberts' teammate on the Yamaha. Ron Haslam, number 9 on the Honda, the man carrying British hopes, was 6th fastest over the 2 practice sessions, but could improve on that today. Barry Sheene, meanwhile, was going nowhere. He missed the whole of the second practice session because oil had been pouring from the engine. They're calling the bike the Torrey Canyon. And for the first time in his life, Sheene is less than enthusiastic about a British Grand Prix.
To finish 8th or 10th is nothing. And I'm used to winning, used to be having machinery that you can.